$2.88 a day. LES helps power life's special moments and your comfort. Learn more at les.com/value.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road. Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese Beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
The Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, Nebraska National Guard, 55th Wing, and the Lincoln Airport Authority presents the Guardians of Freedom Air Show, featuring the U.S. Navy Blue Angels, the F-16 Viper demo team, F-35, and the Air Force Wings of Blue. Experience a spectacle that your family will remember forever. The Guardians of Freedom Air Show, Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th at Lincoln Air Park. Parking and admission are free. Learn more at lincolnairshow.com.
Welcome in to the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 12-year NFL veteran.
He's got some speed to go with strength.
Huskers and Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer.
Shovel pass to Green. Into Vikings territory. Finally brought down.
And University of Nebraska eSports coach.
All by himself. Touchdown. 98 yards and a Lambeau leap.
Here is your host, Ahman Green.
Man, welcome to the show. How you everyone doing? Harrison, how you doing, sir?
Not too bad, man. It's been a pretty nice day. The weather, I mean, for August, you can't really complain about the weather. You're getting into some pretty ideal weather considering it's mid-August here. It's been great over here.
Nice. I'm down in Houston, Texas now. Just got the move completed now, and I think it was like one point in time, it was like 107 here. So I'm loving it. It's not Wisconsin anymore where the leaves on the plants were already turning to fall colors when I left. So I'm so happy everything is. I say one thing Houstonites probably don't want to hear, that I'm happy that it's like hot and dry down here, but it's in a drought, unfortunately. But for me, coming from Wisconsin, I'm like, give it to me. I need all the heat I can get because I'll be going back, coming back to Lincoln real soon, and we'll be in, I won't say winter, but we're getting close to it. We'll have a fall. Wisconsin rarely had a fall, and I'll experience a fall in Lincoln again and get ready for the football season. And so I'm super excited about that. But like I said, just getting this move capped off, since the last episode. So you wasn't on the show last week. So what you been up to?
Yeah.
Since last week?
Since last week, more work, getting ready for high school football. Super pumped about that. We got week 0 games starting tomorrow. I think Lincoln Northwest and Pies play each other, so that'll be a good one. That's getting rolling here. It's just that time. Football is right around the corner. It's crazy. It's August 31st. The guys already played Minnesota, and we're at the 17th already.
I'll tell you. I mean, I'm sure you know it being in the sports world, but it's a crazy time of year to kind of get all your ducks in a row. But it's a good time to be busy. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, we had that lull between probably, I want to say, late June and then 4th of July weekend, and then now it's goes into that lull. Not really no pro sports. It was the Women's World Cup going on, which I watched heavily, and I kept track of our team, the U.S. ladies, and unfortunately they didn't make it through. They lost to Sweden on penalty kicks, which I talked about a few weeks ago. But now, like you mentioned, it's like full throttle NFL, Division I college, or just college football in general, no matter where you're at, what level of football going on, practices, training, and stuff like that. So it's something that for myself with the Nebraska esports program that, possibly, I'll say not possibly, but this time next year, we'll be talking about the same type of getting prepared to do. That's what I like to do. I like to do something similar to what I learned as a football player, having 2-a-days or having a lot of time as the esports players get to be around each other to start building that teamwork, that camaraderie, to understand what type of team atmosphere we need to have, in terms of, winning, being, I say, ready to win, but also being prepared to be the best player, vocally, respectfully, and I say emotionally, out there on the, playing in whatever game we're playing. So
Yeah, and I kind of want to ask some questions just about that training in general, because I think a lot of people are curious how you even practice with some of these esports. It's just not something that people are familiar with. It's blowing up as an industry, but I do think people are curious. So when you're talking about 2-a-days for esport athletes, what does that kind of look like for those guys?
What I've done and what I'll do here, I've tried to mention it to the managers and the vice president and the president of the esports club already, and some of the players where. Wake up time is between 8 and 9, and get breakfast together, and then go into the first 3 hours of the day. So from I'll say breakfast around, I would like to be between 7 and 8. 7 and 8, and then practice starts around 9. Go from 9 to noon, so 3 hours there, but 4 hours already, 5 hours of the players being around each other. So get those 3 hours of hard work, or scrimmaging each other or scrimmaging a team from another school, but going over mechanics, in terms of knowing the game a little bit better, for the controls from mouse and keyboard or controller. Most of the games are mouse and keyboard that we play on at that moment. But there's some players that can and do use controllers if they play Call of Duty or Overwatch, but I know Valorant is the only one that is keyboard lock. So you got master the mechanics of those games, and then have a little bit of maybe some film review of that point for all the games in terms of practices. And if not, we'll do it later in the next practice. But then break at noon, go grab lunch, and then wait about an hour, let the lunch digest. And that's when I usually had the players go into we hit the weight room, or we do some activity where it's physical. It was either working out, actually doing push-ups, sit-ups, dumbbell workouts or something like that, or just walking around campus for a couple miles just to get the blood flow, because we've been sitting down, for 3.5 hours at a chair, at a table, at a desk. So get them away from the screen for about an hour or two. And then once we get back from that walk, which should be about 3:30, I'll say 3 o'clock or 3:30, and depends. Just say if it's 3 o'clock, then by 3:30 we're back in front of the PC. Going from 3:30 to 6:30, training again, same stuff, rinse and repeat from the morning's practice, and then break for dinner after 6:30, and watch film, and then the players are free to go. In terms of dorm room or apartment, I would rather have them just like any other training camp, have them in the dorms together so they get to know each other. I know I'll be dealing with a different atmosphere when we have co-ed teams, so I gotta account for that too. So I'll make sure I have the ladies rooming together, and not, make sure I know what I'm doing there. And so, yeah, that would be the typical day. And that's what I've run that past a lot of the game managers for the esports program. And it is kind of like, that's fair. A few time adjustments here and there for some of the games. Cause I remember talking to Eric, who's one of the game managers for Super Smash Brothers, and he does a fantastic job with running weekly tournaments on the weekends just for the club members or just anybody on campus that wants to participate. And we just had a talk about a week ago, or if not longer, about, because Smash, if you play Smash, Harrison.
Yeah, and I played the last one that was on the Wii, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I think it was the last one I played.
Yeah, and those games, as you know, they're not real long. They're a long game of Smash is like 7-8 minutes. That's a long.
Yeah, they're fast.
So 2-3 hours of playing Smash can get redundant. That could be, oh my god, I'm banging my head against the wall. Playing, I probably play 50 matches in 3 hours or something, which would be great for experience, but every now and then, we need that time away from the screen. So, so talking with Eric, I was like, yeah, as long as he said that his format, he does a lot of scrimming and set up tournaments against other schools or with players on campus or players and students on campus. And then we just talked it out and found a way to basically, where they're not there every day. They don't have to be, I want 5 days a week, but in terms of the way we talked about it, because I know one of those days that he plans out, he does a real serious competition day where it's a tournament. So I think having that where players really feel the intensity and the stresses of playing in the game, playing in a real match that counts for something. I think preparing them that way is just as well as practicing 5 days a week. So we was able to find a middle ground on that standpoint. So for Smash players, they still got to check in because I want to make sure there's like an attendance sheet of who's missing and who's not there, or who's missing and who's there. So then, the game managers know, I know, the club president knows. So because then we could have a conversation with the player to say if they're missing days, it's like, if you want to really be part of varsity, this is still, you got to attend these practices. But if you still want to be on club, then you could pretty much do as you want, because it's a club situation. There's not a lot of commitment there. But if you want to play, it's there. But for varsity side, it's like you got to have that commitment time to where you're going to be there on time and you'll be ready to practice, but then you don't miss days as well. So that'll be the one part of two-a-days, and that where a lot of students that weren't on a varsity roster the year before on campus in Lincoln, that'll be something new to them. And I say the beautiful thing is that now high school kids are coming in. They already have that in their mindset because they've been doing it at the high school level. At all the high schools in Lincoln, I know they have some sort of training camp or prepare something that gets them ready for the regular season. So I've seen some. I've met with Lincoln High School a few times and talked with other players individually around campus or around Lincoln that I recruited, or around Lincoln and the state of Nebraska that I recruited, and mentioned that they've been on the high school team. So.
Absolutely. And, I'm kind of curious about what it looks like when you're recruiting some of these esport athletes, because you're going through these games. When you're trying to figure out to fill that roster, are you just going game by game trying to figure out, I need some players for, say, Smash, or some players for, whether it's Call of Duty. When you're recruiting, is it game focused, or a lot of these esport athletes kind of can cross play and they can play a lot of different games at a high level?
It's a little bit of that. If I'm recruiting a player for Call of Duty, for example, I'm obviously looking for their how high they are ranked at that game. And occasionally, I say when I first got into coaching, my first few years at Lakeland, I was asking that because we were low on numbers. We didn't have a ton of esports participants at the time. But when I got halfway through recruiting, I say about a month away from school starting, I had a lot of players that could play multiple games. And that was, I say, for me, important because we didn't have that many players at a time. I think first semester at Lakeland, I think I had 18 players total.
Oh, wow.
So I had to bank on some players playing at least one other game, not 3, but I say at least 2 games. And I was able to do that. But then along with COVID, we got a surplus of players that all of a sudden, traditional sports athletes, football, baseball, or football, volleyball, or any fall sport athlete, cross country, was not participating in that sport. So then we were able to add them to the roster. And so we had an influx of another 23 players came on. So we were right over 40 players for the roster, like 41, I think, for 2020 fall, which was good, obviously good and bad at the same time. And so then we only had 18 gaming stations. So I had to learn adjustment and time management on each system. So it's for every team to get a allotted time, 2 to 3 hours of training together every week, every day, or every day for every week to get ready for the regular season. So that was fun. But I learned a nice little way to organize, to make sure everybody had their allotted time. And some teams didn't need long as much as we talk about with Smash players, don't need a whole lot of time. They could play, I think, an hour or hour and a half was plenty for a Smash player. But then League of Legends, Call of Duty, Valorant. Well, Valorant wasn't out yet, so we had, I know, Call of Duty, League of Legends. But so those games, Overwatch at the time, could go 2-3 hours on the PCs and get their time in. Make sure they had good quality practice time.
And I kind of want to ask you this because you mentioned one game. It's a game I picked up and immediately put down. It was incredibly frustrating for me. It was Valorant. I gave it a shot, hopped on with some of my friends on Discord. That game has such a high, I'm going to call it a learning curve, that or I'm just that bad. That could be the case. But when you're teaching some of these games, is there any of them that really stick out that, this has got a high learning curve and it takes a while to master?
It depends on your background, because like somebody, you sound like me, Harrison, where I didn't have a lot of mouse and keyboard gameplay.
Yeah, I was all controller. When I hopped on mouse and keyboard, I was getting dusted.
Exactly. So I had been down that same road. So what I did last summer, I played Valorant, and I streamed it on my Twitch channel probably at least twice a week. My goal was to play it once a week, but then sometimes I would get 2 times a week streaming it and then playing it once by myself or once without a stream. And so I was getting averaging 2 to 3 games or 2 to 3 sessions all summer long. And then by the end of the summer, I was really comfortable with the mechanics. I was comfortable. My confidence got level, so where I wasn't nervous or anything about shooting. And obviously, it was still a little bit of residual of controller mechanics in my brain and in my fingers and hands when I'm doing something. I'm like, this is a little different on mouse keyboard. I could just hit the B button real fast or hit the right trigger to throw the grenade or to shoot and throw the grenade with the left trigger. So it's like, okay, I had to retrain my brain, knowing that it was Q, it was a AWS and D and F, and then caps lock, shift bar, all those buttons are still useful. But now you got to get the pinky finger working. So you're just learning those little tidbits. But I finally got there, and so it's a little bit of curve for somebody like ourselves playing a lot of keyboard or a lot of controller.
Yeah, I'm with you on there. It's thing for keyboard with me is I think what you said, I just don't have enough run with it. So I can play Valorant. Once I get used to that one, I switch to another game. That keyboard layout's always going to be slightly different depending on the game. And I'm just not used to the keyboard. So every time I have to kind of reevaluate all my controls on the keyboard, definitely takes me a little while longer. But I want to ask you something before we go to break, because there's a game that dropped, had a lot of controversy around it due to the early ratings. Currently, it's only been out for about a couple days now, and it's sitting at a 1.6 rating, and it's Madden 24. Were you able to get your hands on Madden 24?
Yeah, I did. So I'll be downloading it, getting it ready for tomorrow. Doing actually a show on my Twitch channel tomorrow, promoting it and playing it with some friends of mine. And but no, I say not having played it yet. But that's a low rating.
Yeah, I think a lot of the low rating is just like I think when games get released, every now and then there's a series of bugs in there that just gotta get fine-tuned out. So a lot of what I'm seeing, a lot of the complaints are end zone glitches where the player, just like the animation just stops. But for the most part, early on, I feel like Madden games get pretty hard. Same thing with NBA 2K. 2K does have problems, but it always gets a way harsher rating than what I think it actually deserves. Because if you play NBA 2K, you look at 2K24, they got all the animations pretty much on point with the superstar players. You look at Kevin Durant's jump shot and 2K24's jump shot for Kevin Durant. Yeah. Right. It's spot on. So like for people to give that game, a 3-star, to me, it's just like you're wanting a little bit too much there. They're getting pretty close to really mastering it. But I'm curious to see that. And we'll go ahead and throw it to break here and ask Ahman Green more about some of his esports and what he's been up to these past few weeks. But nonetheless, this is the Ahman Green Show. I'm Harrison Arns, pushing the 1s and 2s on the board. We got the host, as always, Ahman Green. We'll catch you guys on the other side of the break.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
Looking to get into the electrical construction industry. The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Summertime is in full swing, and it's time to get to work on outdoor projects. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and TimberTech composite decking. They offer advice from real deck professionals to give you proper guidance to make your project go smoothly. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671. Go online at deckcityne.com or visit their new location just north of 33rd and Cornhusker Highway. Deck City, your local deck experts.
Nutrition Authority invites you to save 35 to 75% off at our back-to-school blowout. We're taking our better-than-internet prices and cutting them even deeper, bringing you the biggest sale of the season. Monday, August 14th through 19th, the back-to-school blowout is on at Nutrition Authority. For location information, check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay. Playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
H&H Roofing, established in 2015, is proud to serve the local area, which includes the tri-state area in Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota. H&H Roofing has a professional team that are licensed and bonded, GAF Master Certified Installers, and an insurance-preferred contractor that will work directly with your insurance company. Also a leading roofer, siding, and gutter specialist. H&H Roofing will service all residential, commercial, and agricultural needs. Go to HandHroofs.com for more information or call 402-359-2546.
The sweet relief of air conditioning after a hot day in the summer sun. For only $2.88 a day, LES helps power life's special moments and your comfort. Learn more at les.com/value.
This Sunday night at 7 on the finish line on 93.7 The Ticket, we are going to be joined live by 16-year-old standout Jade Evadizian. She pilots the Mobile One sponsored number 71 in the Extreme Outlaw Midget Dirt Track Series. You can join in and be a part of the conversation as we hear how this young lady is putting her mark on dirt track racing. From throwing wild sliders at I-55 in Peebly to last quarter passes for the win at Atomic Speedway or driving under Team S for another win back in March. Don't miss a second of the conversation this Sunday night at 7, right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
The Butchery by Venue is Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality of Venue home with you with our hand-cut steaks, handcrafted burgers, and locally sourced offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today. Located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
This is the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right.
Welcome back into the Ahman Green Show. Again, I am Harrison Archer on the board here on the ones and twos. The host, as always, Ahman Green in here. I shouldn't say in here, streaming in with us today. And nonetheless, you guys can always join the show through the Sartor Heyman text line, 402-464-5685, as well as we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. We got a couple more segments left. You know, Ahman Green, it's your show. Where do you want to go with it, man?
Well, I like to we'll finish up with the Nebraska esports. We got a few things coming down the line. I mean, I got players reaching out to me through email, incoming players. Caleb, can't think of Caleb's last name right now, but he's a Rocket League player and he's an incoming true freshman. And so he's excited about playing. So I got to get him connected with the Rocket League game manager there. And so just seeing that, and he was a kid that when he was started to start, I say middle to start of recruiting process, he like told me right away, he's like, hey, I want to come here. Or I'm looking at all the schools that I want to see myself at playing Rocket League. And he's like, Nebraska is one of them. And I'm just like, that right there said a lot about his dedication, his drive, and his want to get stuff done, and his goal setting already. And so I was like, just giving him all the information about the program. And I think that was either before or after we found out that we had 10 partial scholarships to hand out. And I was able to hand out, I think, around 4 or 5 with the time I had in Lincoln before I had to come and get the house packed up. So I wasn't able to hand out all my 10 scholarships. But, I had, I say good reason why moving, packing a house that we lived in for 20 years takes a long time. So, But still getting the 4 to 5 recruits coming in, Caleb and I believe Brittany, Brett, and trying to think one more kid from Missouri. He's a Smash player as well. So I'm excited about them. And I think all the kids are excited about the program, and just in general, school starting back up. And so, everybody's already talking about all the little programs or events that they're planning to do on the weekends for the esports club. And I know one's coming up this Sunday I might be able to be at because I'll be back in town on Sunday, the 20th. And so it is, they call it, this is a street festival from 6:30 to 8:30 in Memorial Stadium. So for any club member or any player or any student that knows about the club team or even doesn't know, you could come out there in Memorial Stadium to find out, how you could become a member of the club team. So we still going to have the club side of varsity esports at Nebraska. So that's the part I want to obviously let people know. So that's not going, club team is not going anywhere. That's the reason why varsity team is here, because it's pushing students that want to play, higher competition into that area, which is great. And it means a lot for the program because obviously we're starting out year 1 here. I say year 0. So it is a fantastic thing. So, and then shout out to the I say Jaden, Z, I think Lexi and Sam, and I think Brennan too is rotated in for the Big Red Esports Show every Saturday at 2. I think 12 o'clock. It goes 12 to 2 now, right? They got 2 hours, right? Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So shout out to them, and I hope they have a good show this weekend. So I'll be able to participate every now and then when I'm in town now to join them on the Saturday. So excited about that. But now I say switch gears a little bit just to the guys and my old job playing football, actual football, not Madden. But yeah, I've been paying attention, trying to get my footing in learning coach rule, learning names of all the players and the new coaches, and just seeing the philosophy of the coaching staff and what their goals are to get this team turned around. And I think they're a quarter of a way there. The next quarter and the next quarter after that, obviously they got scrimmages coming up. I think this their first scrimmage, or they about to have their second scrimmage, and then game time against Minnesota. So that'll get them the full circle of what they're going to see. I kind of talked about this last week, but they had a few injuries there, and then I know Xavier Betts left the team, and Xavier was a guy who I actually had in my first semester of teaching on campus in intro to esports, and he, I know that very cerebral, Very good kid, and I hope the best for him. Whatever I know he's going to still be on campus. Actually, so I'll see him.
Yeah, he's still going to school. I think that's the thing people got to remember.
Yeah.
He did the responsible thing. If you're not all in it, the most responsible thing to do is tell the coach. And like you said, he's not quitting school.
Right. So he's going to finish up, his classes, and it was something, I remember halfway through the spring semester in our class, he had mentioned that he wanted to be a part of the esports club, and his game of choice is Apex Legends. So Xavier, if you still, if you're listening, hey, you could round out that Apex Legends roster for sure. I'll definitely welcome you in. Good player, good human being there. So I hope he's okay, and that's the aspect. And I think I've heard Coach Rule conference about it. Very supportive of Xavier. And like what you said, I'll repeat it. Yeah, if your heart is not into football, or baseball, basketball, playing video games, being the mailman or whatever, you can't. Yeah, don't put yourself in that situation. Because along with stresses, and then being a physical sport, you can get other people hurt because you're doing you're halfway doing a job because you're not all in. So that's just a good all around decision for a young man of that. He's 19, 20 years old, to make that decision, to understand and be able to walk in his own shoes and not feel like he's let people down. That is, it says a lot to him, and what he's been through. I heard a little about what he's been through so far with injuries and stuff like that. So yeah, I can't wait to see him. I hope he's doing well. I hope he has a great semester in classes. So I know he's going to be hiding around campus. We'll run into each other, and I'm just like, hey, let's get a game of Apex on.
Get him in the esports club. I do like the idea of that esports club not going anywhere. I know it's not quite the same, but it almost kind of reminds me of a little bit of a walk-on program, right? It's some guys underneath, but they're going to push those guys up top, and they might find themselves up there on the varsity roster if they really take off. Is that kind of how you, not necessarily envision it as a walk-on program, but kind of what your goal is for it to kind of push that varsity?
Yeah, to push the varsity, because the players that started this program, they technically did have varsity teams, but obviously it wasn't where they're not getting this much attention, and everybody's finding out about it. I'm being their coach. They didn't have that part of it. So not a lot of people, I say, hire, admins, people around the city, other coaches, other high schools, other businesses didn't know that we had a program until now. And so for those players, thank you, because they're the ones that got us to this point, from their gameplay, from getting the people that mattered on campus to see what is esports and why we need to have a varsity team, and now why we need to have faculty members guiding the team into the varsity area, because that'll bring in obviously funds that we're asking for and getting help out, reach out to. Something I will be cranking. I'll be putting a pedal to the metal when I get back in Lincoln, to talk to everybody to every company that's reached out to me through email. I'm gonna follow up with them, say, hey, I'm back in town. Let's meet up. Let's talk. We need it. We need the help. It's full court press, as we say in the sporting world, all hands on deck. Let's go. I know there's a lot of businesses in Lincoln and in Nebraska that want to support our program. So any support we'll take, whatever it is. We want it, because these kids got, as I've talked about, a lot of dedication. They put in the time, and they don't, for the club side of it, you don't have to, but they do. And for the ones that really put that time in, that's where they got this program to where it is. And a lot of teams that they've competed with is just, said a lot of good praises about Nebraska teams, from, League of Legends, Overwatch 2, Call of Duty, well played team, good leaders on that team, good players on that team. And we have we lost some good players through graduation, but that's college. And so we got players coming back that are very good players that know the game. And so for not just Call of Duty, but for Rocket League players, for the League of Legends, and we got incoming the 4 or 5 recruits that we have coming in too. We have, solid kids that I've talked to their parents, and I'm super excited because they have built them on their own support system at the high school level to understand that they needed that to go through college, and they still have that now coming into Lincoln. And so it's just going to continue to see who's going to be our better teams to put on the varsity roster, but also the club situation is going to be fun because I get to interact with the players. I get to see them. I get to sit down, and they can either beat me up on Smash, or we can play some Call of Duty, and they carry me. So I get to experience that part of them too. I think a lot of coaches in esports, we get to experience that. And traditional sports, you don't really get that. When you go recruit a kid, you just got to watch them play on Friday night in football, or you got to go to a Saturday tip-off for a basketball player. You just got to sit there and watch them or get their film and watch them. But I get to actually play with my players that I'm recruiting, or even the current roster players. I can sit down with them and run some Call of Duty with them for a couple hours and really get how they play and what things I see as a coach that they could get better at, or things that they do great. And it's just like, wow, keep that going, keep that mindset, keep that talent of aiming, tracking very well, or playing a game of Madden, NBA 2K, stuff like that, to make sure, and it gets me closer to I can actually dig in on them if I find that a player needs a little push from behind. And that's what my job is as a coach.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. You can actually play them in the sport you're recruiting them for. That's a unique ability that I can't think of anything that's going to ever come close to that. That's uniquely esports, that you can actually just play them, whether it's team 1v1, and see where they're at skill-wise. Is there any games, you mentioned that, a lot of them you might get dusted on, but is there any one that if one of your esports athletes throws up, that you're like, you know what, I got a shot in this one, I might be able to take the win?
You mean, so for me having a better shot at winning?
Yep.
I would say for me, it's only probably just 2 games for sure. Halo Infinite. So
okay, nice.
We could do 1v1. I think I'll hold water. And then Madden. So anybody that want to see me in Madden, I don't trash talk, but I'm ready to play anytime. So let's go. I love playing. It's fun. Obviously, it was a sport I used to do since I was the age of 5-6 years old. And I say it's I lived through the Madden characters, because I was like, now I can still run an 80-yard run if I can. Or I could throw a deep ball to whoever. If I play with Ravens usually, so that means they got Odell Beckham now, so I'm super excited about that. I'm like,
yeah, that's gonna be scary. You're one of those guys that's got Lamar Jackson probably running the option over and over again.
Yeah, I do. I work it in. I'm cerebral, so I give it thought, and I try to keep the defense guessing. That's what I'll say about my game, because I know I get a lot of people. They hear this, they're gonna want to play me, which would be good, but I don't want to give up. I want to give up all my secrets though. So
yeah, fair enough.
I'm cerebral. I would keep it at that.
Since we're on Madden, have you had a chance? Because I will say this: I'm a Bears fan, but have you had a chance to watch any of the Packers preseason football?
Yes, I have. I watched the Bengals game, saw highlights of that. Saw the game. I tuned in a little bit later. It was right after Jordan Love and the first offense went down and scored, and then I watched the rest of the game from that point on. Watched Clifford from Penn State come out there, threw a couple picks, but what he did real well was he didn't even know he threw a pick. He came out that next series and was slinging it and was doing something as a young player that you want to see as a coach. And it's basically, to the time that he spent at Penn State. So he was a COVID player, so he had an extra year. So for those players, I mean, it was a choice situation. You had the choice to say, oh man, I was in COVID during a time where I didn't play football for a year, but you got an extra year back. How did you take advantage of that? And he's one player definitely took advantage of that extra year that the NCAA gave players to say, hey, we missed a year. Here you go. And he took full advantage, because when he made those mistakes of throwing those interceptions, like I said, he came right back on the field, slinging the ball around, hitting targets, very confident. So that's somebody as a true rookie that could potentially be on the roster, being back up to Jordan Love. Come regular season ball. So watching them run game 2 look good. And now, for the defense, is just seeing now where, what's his name? Rashard Gary will be back in terms of his knee rehab. And if they got the kid Van Ness from Iowa, that's going to play that, same position. So, obviously that was the reason why his pick to get him picked up on that roster, but they still have Preston Smith on the other side as the left end there. So they got the defense, and back end hopefully gets tightened up there. They have some good DBs. They got Zaire Alexander, one of the best DBs in the NFL right now, back there. So you can have players that communicate. And I've seen talk about him and Rasul Douglas working together. So having them on the same page can be a big, I say a bonus for the Packer defense, but also a problem for opposing teams, knowing how they can work off each other to cover wide receivers in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one thing for them, I think a big key for them is going to be, can they figure out that wide receiver room? I'm
Yeah.
excited to see if Samara Toure kind of gets a nice step up this year. I know last year with Rodgers, he had some pretty nice plays, but, there might be room in the wide receiver room for him to make a step up, just for Jordan Love to kind of get that connection. I feel like with Rodgers, a lot, he was getting blamed. He's blaming the receivers. Kind of you didn't know who was the problem there is what it felt like, but this is a clean slate. Hopefully Jordan Love get those connections going. And I think you're right with the defense. I think the defense will be ready to go. But what are your real expectations for the NFC North? Where do you see the Green Bay Packers sitting? Because I have the Bears finally looking down at the Cheeseheads. It's been a long time waiting, but I think
I know a lot of Bear fans. Actually, my new neighbor is a Bear fan, and
he's gonna be loud this year.
What's that?
He's gonna be loud this year. I'll say that.
And but there's a very high potential rate of that happening because it's just transition. And when you have transition, you remember year one of Aaron and even year one of Brett, there wasn't great seasons. I know Aaron's first year, they didn't make it to the playoffs. I can't remember back far to see, remember exactly what Brett did his first year as a starter. He wasn't a rookie, but he wasn't a starter either. And I mean, he became a starter, I think, in his fourth year, because you got to remember, he got traded from Atlanta. He got drafted to Atlanta, but then traded probably like 2-3 years later. And that's probably the best thing that happened for him, because I remember meeting him and knowing him as a friend and teammate, and then he was partying too hard down there. So he got that out the system, got to Green Bay, was able to flourish, but it wasn't until his fifth or sixth year in the league and his second or third year starting as a quarterback where he started winning MVPs and then going to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. So and the same for Aaron. First year 8-8, second year with me, I came back to the team in 2009. We went 9-7. We made it to the playoffs. We had first round one, I say historic game. I think we played Arizona, down in Arizona, the Cards, and that game went to, I believe, overtime, and we lost in overtime 53-55. And it was an amazing game. And you saw that whole season, even before I got on the roster, I was watching them closely. That team, from the draft, they drafted Clay Matthews Jr. That was his rookie year, and some other key players in that roster between. Remember Ryan Grant, he had took over the position once I left, and guys on defense, Charles Woodson had been there when I was there, and that they grew up with him in the defensive backfield, and his leadership and his talent, obviously, it started to spread throughout the roster. I say more that the leadership side of it started to spread throughout that roster. And then when I got on that roster late in October of 2009, I kind of saw the transitioning happen of a team, of a player. We're talking about Aaron starting to transition into that player that everybody wants him to be. Everybody who I'm referring to is the fans in the stands. They want him to be another Brett or another fan, Bart Starr, and to have a franchise that every quarterback, I won't say every quarterback, but the best at that position, and now in back-to-back, basically almost 30 years of good quarterbacking. Now we're going to see what Jordan Love can do. And so far in preseason and in training camp, he's done a very good job. He's been poised. Yep. He's been, it's not that he's been perfect out there, but mistakes, and it's the biggest thing for any athlete, not just a quarterback. Mistakes can't bother you. You're going to make mistakes because the other team is trying to win, and you see him doing that in practice, in the game, and it's going to just continue to build from there. So yeah, it's still going to be a rough year. And like you said, being a Bear fan, there is opportunity. This is probably the best. I say the best of best years because it's the first year of the new quarterback. Even if this was Aaron going in his first year, I would say, yeah, the Bears have a really good chance of being above the Packers in the NFC North, this division, and maybe have a chance to even win the division because they have a good talented squad. They got DJ Moore now from the Panthers. Justin Fields is second year with his offensive coordinator, so he's getting more comfortable in that offense. And we know the type of athlete he is. Had 1,000 yards rushing, and I think 700-800 yards passing. I'm pretty sure he wants to bump up his passing yards because he was a true passer at Ohio State. So yeah, it's going to get interesting. Kirk Cousins is still doing his thing at Minnesota, and as we know, Detroit, Dan Campbell has got that team to really understand what it takes to win games and how, from a player standpoint, what you got to do. And it's basically kind of how Mac Rule has come into our program is trying to change the culture. And that's what Dan Campbell had to do. He had to change the culture in Detroit because as a player, I knew when we could break them. We could get to the fourth quarter, get a big play here or there if it was a tight game. And it would be tight games because it was a rival game. It was rivalry. Throw the records out the window. So that meant no matter how good we are, they're going to play us tough, home or away. But for every other game after Packer game or after a Bear game or after a Viking game, they didn't play well. And so now they are. They're putting together really good draft picks. AJ Hutchinson, who they drafted last year, love him, enthusiastic, and he's as we say in the locker room, he's a dog. So he's a guy that can, he's a young leader in that locker room. People will probably not listen a whole lot to him, but they'll watch his gameplay. It's like, man, I need to pay attention. I need to do stuff like what he's doing. And so now that's reverberate, all through their roster. So Detroit, on top of them, the division there. But yeah, Green Bay is going to be interesting to see, So there's going to be a lot of backers out there putting that money down.
That's why I'm excited. I think the NFC North, I think it's just, like you said, it's interesting, right? Where the Vikings slightly fluky last year. If you're leaning that way, it's just going to throw everything off. Lions, how much you got faith in Dan Campbell really turning that around? But I actually do. The Lions, Dan Campbell, when he had the Hard Knocks camp, that was probably one of my favorite Hard Knocks I've had in a while. Just really get behind him. He's a guy that'll get you to run through a wall. I'll say that much about Dan Campbell. And for the Bears, it's a year catching the Packers sleeping. That's a rarity. I've never seen it. I'm 24 years old. I've never seen the Packers sleeping once. So you got to run up there and try to grab that positioning in the NFC before Jordan Love gets it rolling. And who knows when the Packers take off again. With that being said, we got to go ahead and throw it to our last break. This is the Ahman Green Show. I'm Harrison Arns, pushing the ones and twos. And of course, the host, Ahman Green, streaming in as always. We'll catch you guys on the other side of the break.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving. Go cardio crazy in our clean and spacious clubs, or get down with some dumbbells and strength equipment. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month. It's glow time. See Club for details.
Our Remington Homes has really expanded and taken off in the last 5 years.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about their exciting new division, Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
The exciting thing about a Remington home is you get to choose your floor plan from predetermined floor plans. You can select your options. We give you a lot of choices. By selecting certain floor plans, they're just easier to build. And you couple that with our great lot selection in all different areas. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
H&H Roofing, established in 2015, is proud to serve the local area, which includes the tri-state area in Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota. H&H Roofing has a professional team that are licensed and bonded, GAF Master Certified Installers, and an insurance-preferred contractor that will work directly with your insurance company. Also a leading roofer, siding, and gutter specialist. H&H Roofing will service all residential, commercial, and agricultural needs. Go to HandHroofs.com for more information or call 402-359-2546.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
General contractors, business owners, property owners, The success of your business requires doing business with the right people. And the right people when it comes to drywall, acoustical ceilings, and specialty products are at Premier Drywall. Kevin and his crew will give your project the response and attention it deserves.
You'll get all of the attention to detail and quality that you would expect from someone who's been in the business for 30 years. For your new builds, build-outs, or renovations, reach out to Kevin. Kevin at PremierDW.com. Premier Drywall in Lincoln.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals. You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today. Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
Summer is near. Now's the time to clean or replace your furnace filter to get the most out of your AC. Find energy-saving tips at les.com/save-energy.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Bob just wanted to say thank you for a record-setting July here at Koppel. The summer sales event continues in August, and the incentives are crazy good. Check this out. We got 0.9% financing along with a $2,500 trade-in rebate on select new models. You heard right. 0.9% financing has been extended along with a trade-in rebate. Also, our GM-certified used inventory is filling up fast, so make that money-saving drive to Koppel. It's just south of the interstate, or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with roof credit.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
This is the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into the Ahman Green Show. I am Harrison Arns, pushing the ones and twos. We got the host, as always, Ahman Green, streaming in. And again, you can join us on the show through the Sartor Heyman text line at 402-464-5685, as well as for streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. You can go to ticketfm.com to catch all the podcasts in case you missed any. And again, we did have one over the text line I want to get to real quick. A little old school. Husker Army asked, does he need anyone to play Contra or Tyson's Punched Out on the esports roster?
Oh, man, we maybe, because I know on the club side of it, we're planning. I was talking to one of the faculty members from the J School, Alex Fernando. So shout out to Alex. And we're talking about doing a faculty only tournament of retro tournament. So Mike Tyson's Punch Out, Super Contra. I'll let the code go, the 50-man code, up, down, left, right, BA. I'll let it go. Because I remember we were sitting there playing some bad games of Rocket League. And I'm like, Alex, you know what we should do? We should have a tournament for faculty only with no experience in any of these games and just play for
great.
Because I could barely get off the ground and do an aerial. And in Rocket League. So,
I'm a ground beater on Rocket League as well. I try to play that, and that's another humbling game. You hop on, you think you're doing all right, and then someone throws in you're in champion grouping with your friends, and you realize how far away you are. Rocket League's got a high competitive drive to it. Speaking of some of the older games, what is the oldest kind of professional esport game around right now that it's older, but it's still getting a lot of popularity and people are still playing it to this day?
Good game. Good question. Great question. I would have to guess because I don't know for sure. So I'm gonna say what I've seen on the scene is probably the oldest. It's between probably CS:GO and League of Legends, because I think League of Legends has been an esport for almost between 15 and 17 years now.
Yeah, that was gonna be my guess. Let me look it up real quick. But League of Legends, like you said, it's been around for a while.
And I'll say the CS:GO is probably the oldest, and they still are very competitive. They have masters levels now, which I think masters levels are like 30 years old and up. And then international play. Like internationally, the hot games out there, one of the hottest games out there on international gameplay is CS:GO, and then League of Legends. Now Valorant is very popular. And then on the console side of it, you'll have PC 2. And some console.
Yeah, Rainbow Six is still out there.
Yeah, Rainbow Six Siege, and then also FC 24, which is now the new FIFA soccer. And so that is very obviously big outside the U.S. because football is our sport, number one, but it is football that is the football of choice outside the U.S. That is very popular at the esports scene, but I'm not sure. I would say definitely CS:GO has to be the oldest out there.
Yep, and I think it is.
Look out for a retro tournament for older games. I'm definitely down for that.
In League of Legends, it was 2011. They released in 2009, so 2011 they've been part of esports, which is like you said, that's a crazy tenure for those guys. That might be, but I think you're right. CS:GO was before 2009, so I think that's got to be the one. It's funny you mentioned that because on YouTube it has suggested clips. I still get CS:GO suggested clips, and I'm like, how is this game still around? And you'd be surprised, there's people streaming it every day. There's still tons of people watching. But before we get out of here, Ahman Green, is there anything you want to touch on before we open up the show with junior achievements?
Oh yeah, so I know how junior achievements, they talk, they help out the kids in Lincoln, and in terms of motivational talks and inspirational things. So I just wanted to hit on, because I heard Coach Rule talking about that 1% difference, and he said it a lot since training camp started for him and his coaching staff and the players. And that 1% difference is the difference between winning the Big Ten and winning a national title. That's how 1% can change a locker room. Because I remember when I got on campus, coming into a team that already has a national title and several appearances prior to me getting here. So winning the championship, doing the things needed to be done wasn't really nothing that the players weren't accustomed to doing. But obviously repeating now in 1995, my freshman year, is something that it was tough for any team at any level to repeat at the same competitive level of what you're playing at. And I remember coming in and meeting Dr. Jack Stark and finding out what his actual role was, and it was being a sports medicine doctor, and then basically showing me how I can tap into other little things about my game and about me. And he taught me that. He was one of the people that taught me that mentally, if you can learn how to bounce back from a mistake, or you can learn how to focus to a point where you see nothing else but the goal at hand, whatever your task is on that play that's called in a huddle. But that takes training, just like practicing. You go out to practice, or you condition during the summer, you're running stadium stairs, or you're running 100-yard sprints, and you're working out every day. You're training the body for constant things of, football type of movements, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever. But with your brain, you got to do the same thing. So if you mentally envision yourself doing and accomplishing these tasks, scoring a touchdown, catching the football, blocking for your teammates, picking up the blitz, making a tackle on defense, then you're just as well as preparing. And that's only the 1% difference that you need as a player. Everybody thinks, oh man, I got to run a sub 4.4. I got 15
seconds, I'm on.
All right. And then, so real quick, just, that 1% difference change doesn't take a whole lot for any player to have. So I hope that wrapped it up on time.
Absolutely. Appreciate the time as always. I'm Ahman Green.
Yeah.
Junior achievements up next. Catch you guys next week.
Keep summer green with Judson Baleen and Judson Irrigation. More than 40 years ago, Judson Irrigation started